A dual run capacitor supports running the compressor motor and the fan motor for your air conditioner's outside condensing unit. It's one of the most common parts that fail, so knowing how to test it and replace it can come in really handy, especially if your air conditioner stops working and you can't get a technician out quickly, or maybe you just want to save some money and do this yourself. In the video that I mentioned earlier that we made where we show you how to test a dual run capacitor, when we tested mine, the compressor side of my capacitor was showing just on the bottom end of the acceptable tolerance. And since I wanted to make a video to show you how to do it, we're gonna go ahead and replace the capacitor on my air conditioner. Once you know you need to replace your dual run capacitor, the first thing you need to do is get a new capacitor. You can look for a local HVAC supplier, which is where I picked up mine, but sometimes they won't sell to the public. So Google HVAC contractor supply house and call first before you make the trip. Or like most things, you can find one online. Now you don't have to worry about the brand. The only thing you need to worry about are the microfarad numbers and the voltage. They can be different physical sizes as well. Like here's my new one. It is smaller than say this one right here. So if your old one is larger and your new one is smaller, don't worry about it. The important thing are the numbers, the microfarad ratings. On the capacitor, find the numbers that have a UF or MFD after it. There's usually a larger number and a smaller number. After you have these numbers, you need to know the voltage. It's either going to be 370 or 440. If yours is 340, you don't want to go down in voltage, but generally speaking, if you have a 370, you can go 440 on the new one. First, shut off the power by pulling the disconnect or shutting the breaker off. Remove the access panel that covers the electrical connections. It's important to reconnect the wires the same way you took them off, so if you need to, take a picture of the way the wires are connected. Now remember, the capacitor is storing an electrical charge, so before you disconnect the wires or touch anything, we need to discharge the stored electricity by putting a screwdriver across the terminals of the capacitor. Next, loosen the strap that's holding the capacitor in place and remove it. One of the most important steps is to make sure that you hook the wires up to the right terminal. The terminals on the capacitor should be labeled. You'll see C for the common terminal, Herm for the hermetic compressor terminals, and Fan for the fan terminals. Rather than just disconnecting all the wires, you might find it easier to reconnect the wires to the corresponding terminals on the new capacitor as you pull them off the old one. If your old capacitor is rusted on the top and you can't read how the terminals are labeled, one way to figure out which is to look at how many prongs each terminal has. Common will usually have 4 prongs, Herm will have 3, and Fan will have either 1 or 2. Once you have the wires connected, put the new capacitor back in place and tighten the strap. Put the access panel back on, tighten the screws down, and reconnect the power. Hopefully that fixed your problem and you're able to get back to cooling your home soon. If you ever feel like you've gotten in over your head, it's okay to stop and ask for help. Thanks for watching. See ya.